Hi everyone, welcome to this amazing episode of Connect, because we are here with Michael Cohn, Rachel Ford, and Tyler Scriven of TechStars Atlanta. Ooh, ooh. Can we make a little noise? Like,
doing
yes!
That's right.
It's the roof. This is great. So obviously I love TechStars for many reasons, for all of you, for the impact it has on our city, for the influence of Cox as a sponsor and supporter, Ponce City Market, Bark as one of the inaugural startups from Class 1, but we're here to talk today about Class 2. And I want to know who's in Class 2. And so does everybody watching, so tell us, who's in Class 2?
Awesome. Rachel, why don't you start?
I love when they do this.
She has the best memory of it.
Yeah. So maybe talking a little bit about the total applications that we had and then how we got to this point. I can cover that. I've got
Cool.
the statistics in
All right.
mind. So this year we got north of 500 applications, which is really awesome. And prior to that process kicking off, we took 13 trips around the Southeast to different places in the U.S. and then also internationally. Tyler went to Nigeria and Michael and myself went to Israel.
Wow.
And from that, we met with over 250 different companies on the road. And then with that application pool, we've seen about 66% of that come from the U.S. And of the total application pool, there's 41% from the Southeast, which is really awesome to see the increase in pull from that region this year for us.
So I jumped right in to kind of super granular because I know you guys, I love you guys, like I'm super familiar with this whole thing, but for everybody out there watching, because this is going to be in like, YouTube land for people all over the world might be tuning in. So let's back up and just talk about what is TechStars in general.
Yeah. TechStars is a global network that helps entrepreneurs build awesome businesses. I think TechStars is probably most famous for its Accelerator Program, but that's really about a third of the business overall. TechStars a couple of years back acquired an organization called Up Global, which was responsible for Startup Week and Startup Weekend. And so at the very top of the entrepreneur funnel, TechStars is out there running about 3,000 events a year in all different corners of the globe, really engaging with people before they decide to become entrepreneurs. Then we have the Accelerator Program that you're familiar with. We'll talk more about that today. It's a 90-day program that runs one time per year, generally in each location. We can talk about what we're doing here in Atlanta in a minute. And then finally, there's also the TechStars Venture Fund. So when a company is finally at that stage where they're looking for capital and ready to raise, TechStars has a venture fund to support those startups. Naturally, they can't invest in every accelerator company, but they probably invest in about 10 to 20% of each startup class, of each accelerator class.
That's amazing, and one of my favorite stats, given the fact that I have been a part of firsthand the startup struggle, is typically 90% of startups fail, but 90% of the startups that go through the TechStars Accelerator Program succeed. And I may have botched that. Is that right, Tyler?
Yeah, that's about right. I mean,
Yeah.
I will say that it's still a young portfolio. TechStars has been around for 10 years, and well more than half those companies have been funded in the past probably 3 or 4 years. That being said, I think that we do a ton to help improve that statistic, and I do think that while it may not always be 90%, I think we'll certainly beat the averages and are helping founders really understand how to cope with the challenges and build great companies.
And I think that speaks volumes about the program and about the partnerships and supporters of the program. Like when you work with anybody from Cox in any department in any way, shape, or form, it is type A, on point, T's crossed, I's dotted. When you work at the TechStars program and all of you, like same level of professionalism, nobody's late, like things just run and they run well, and there's a very high level of expectation and excellence. And so when you're translating that, kind of corporate, like well-run machine into the world of startups, which can be super chaotic and crazy and messy, it's kind of amazing how the two interplay. Rachel, what is your kind of perception of how that corporate and startup world come together specifically with regards to this Atlanta contingency?
Yeah, I think that Cox has done a great job of integrating themselves with how we run the program. So week over week, we always have the strategy and investments team in the office working with all of the companies, trying to really plug them into the right points of contact within the Cox business units, which is really helpful because if you're a startup and you're trying to get these initial pilots off the ground with big corporations, oftentimes you spend most of the time trying to find the right person to push it forward. Mm-hmm. So having them be that intermediary has really been awesome for our companies.
Very, very cool. And so I have a whole list of questions because obviously there's so many different layers and your backgrounds are impressive. And so before I get into really the nitty gritty, let's start by just telling everybody who's watching how you got to be a part of this. So Tyler, tell everybody why you're kind of a big deal.
That's a tough one. I don't think I have that answer, unfortunately. I can tell you how I got here. So. I've lived in Atlanta now for about a year and a half, and prior to living in Atlanta, I lived in Silicon Valley, worked for a startup there called Palantir. I was on the executive team, really helping to scale out all the operations of that business. And so, over a 6-year period, we grew from pre-revenue and about 100 people or so to about $1.5 billion in revenue and lots of people, and decided in 2015 to move to Atlanta, which is where my family lives. And shortly thereafter, I met Michael, and we really hit it off and saw a sparkle in each other's eyes, and the rest is history. So we parlayed that relationship into launching TechStars in Atlanta together.
I love it.
Yeah.
And Rachel, how did you come to be part of this amazing organization?
Yeah, so it's actually a very interesting story. While I was still an undergraduate at Georgia Tech doing my engineering degree.
Georgia Tech.
I know, thank you. We got to have some fans out there. UJ's got a bigger portion of fans. While I was there, I started a company, got bit by the entrepreneurial bug in these undergraduate entrepreneurial courses they had launched. Wound up taking that class project into becoming a startup, went through the Kickstarter thing, all of it. And interviewed with TechStars Mobility up in Detroit. So I sat on the founder's side of the table and got to go through that experience. And while we didn't make it to the TechStars program...
That was a mistake.
Thank you.
One that worked out in our favor.
Still part of the network. But while I didn't get into the program, I got left with this super positive impression of the TechStars network overall. And so when I saw the green shirts and the TechStars logos walking around Atlanta, it's like, what are you guys doing here? How do I become a part of it? And then about 6 months later, TechStars Atlanta was announced in partnership with Cox Enterprises, and that was right when I was graduating. So I wound up linking up with Michael and Tyler, and the rest is history. Been here for about a year and some change now.
Yeah, I'd say you're an extremely amazing and valuable asset to the team. I
You're
know.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We just
Thank you. I'm probably going to turn bright red.
Well, no, you're good. You're good. All right, Michael, also kind of a big deal. So. Yeah.
We should talk to my family about that. Should make sure that they know that. Thank you. So my quick story is I'm an entrepreneur too, and started a company here in Atlanta back in 2008 called Cloud Sherpas, and had an enormous amount of support from the community, from folks at ATDC and other places around town, and thankfully we had a really good story. We had a great exit in 2015, and right around that time I knew that I didn't want to go work for any company that was going to be large enough to acquire our business. And so I really started to throw myself back into the startup scene. And David Cummings was super gracious and offered me the opportunity to come down ATV and mentor some companies there. Started to do that. And it was really through that I kind of figured out that I really want to be in the startup space. I'm not sure what exactly. Back in 2015, I wasn't exactly sure, but I knew I wanted to be working with startups. And when I learned about TechStars and TechStars coming to Atlanta, it was right around the time that Tyler and I met, and just like he said, we kind of parlayed our idea of working together into co-leading this program together. And it's been an enormous amount of fun the last year and a half, and we've got a lot more we want to do. So it's been great so far.
It's awesome. I am so thankful to not only have obviously witnessed its fruition from the outside, right? But then being pulled into the inside of it, y'all don't even understand like what it's like if you are fortunate to be a part of the TechStars community.
Tell them about pitch practice.
Pitch practice. Oh.
Favorite topic.
Nope, I'm not going to go there. What I will say is that, like I had a TV show. Like I knew how to talk to people, and it was still nerve-wracking for me. You can attest to the fact that when I first went up on stage, I was shaking. I was straight up shaking. People are like, "Is she okay?" Like, it's intense, but it's awesome. It pushed me to be a better public speaker and to really, either show up or sit down, and I decided to show up, and I am so, so thankful for that. And you guys, you really drilled down and like, we will do a good job.
Yeah.
There is no failing. Like, and we all did. So thank you.
You did awesome. You did awesome.
You did. You killed it.
I was really scared. Anyway, glad that's behind me. So glad I'm not going to be having to be on stage at Demo
I thought
Day.
you were going to MC this
know.
year.
Yeah.
Can I?
To talk about
Okay. We can talk about that. That would be amazing. That would be such an honor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk about what makes the TechStars program, especially with this Atlanta group, so special. Things like Mentor Madness. What is Mentor Madness? It's mad.
Yeah.
It's mad cool.
Organized chaos.
Mentors are what make TechStars so special. TechStars Accelerator Program is a mentor-driven accelerator program. So for those out in YouTube land who were not in our office for the last 2 weeks, we collectively here have been out in the community recruiting mentors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs, exited entrepreneurs, leaders of different businesses, subject matter experts, so forth and so on. We've got a roster of about 100 amazing people that have offered to volunteer their time to come help our founders. And over the last 2 weeks, we facilitated about 1,000 meetings. Every one of those 100 mentors had the opportunity to meet with every one of our 10 companies. And over the course of 2 weeks, we refer to it as Mentor Madness. Every half hour, the bell rings and another meeting takes place. And by the end of 2 weeks' time, like I said, 1,000 meetings have occurred, and the whole purpose of this is to match founders with a diverse group of mentors to support them over the course or over the remaining course of the program. So we've got about another 10 weeks to go, and each set of founders now have between 6 and 7 mentors that are cross-functional, as part of their team to support them throughout this next bit of the journey.
And it truly feels like a family. Again, like I've had the unique experience of participating in Mentor Madness. And y'all, I was blown away by these 10 companies. Every single bit of time I had with each of them, it was as much as them pouring into me as it was me pouring into them, like learning all about them and their stories and their goals and their missions and revenue and all of it. It's fascinating what we have right here in our city, and I can't wait for everyone out there to see what we bring come Demo Day. It's going to be really, really awesome. I want to talk about the 10 different companies. I want to make sure we cover all 10 because they are all awesome. Obviously, because out of how many applicants again?
Over 500.
Over 500 from all over the globe.
Yep.
These companies were chosen. So, extremely, extremely vetted and very coveted positions that they've all gotten. So, who wants to talk about the first one?
2U Laundry is going to change the way we think about the most arduous household chore, laundry. They launched this business in Charlotte, North Carolina, and have truly found product market fit. They are offering a service that allows households to essentially outsource their laundry, but they do it well, right? There have been others who have tried to do this in the space, but those companies have attempted to outsource the actual laundering of the clothing. 2U approaches this in a whole different way, where quality is really top of mind at all times in the process. So they've got a phenomenal business that they've launched up in Charlotte, and through our program, they're going to be launching the business here in Atlanta, and our plans moving forward are to help them launch nationwide.
I can't wait. As you know, I only have one child and a husband who plays soccer. Let me tell you, I do not love doing that laundry, so I cannot wait for you to launch 2U Laundry in Atlanta, like #1 customer right here. So awesome. All right, company number 2.
So Blovit. So Blovit is offering curated dates in a subscription model. So imagine going to a amazing restaurant in Atlanta and walking in and they know your name and your food's ready and everything is tailored just to what you want and lots of surprises, and you walk out and there's no check. Blovit delivers all of that for you, and really the business is premised on this notion of unique experiences that are highly curated, highly tailored to your personal interest.
Yeah.
They launched here in Atlanta a couple months ago, and they're doing great, and I recommend everyone go out and sign up for their waiting list.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we will, in the description under this video, have links to all the startups' websites, as of course TechStars and Cox, and all of that will be one click away, so that'll be great. All right, company number 3.
Company number 3 would be Collider Tech out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. We were super excited to see them coming out of Tennessee and the quality that we saw in Chattanooga when we went up there for recruiting. Collider has what we would call an end-to-end additive manufacturing machine. This is essentially 3D printing, but what they do with it is instead of, if I was going to go out and make this mug, right now I would have to make a really, really expensive part out of metal to mold this in, and then it would take forever for me to get that mold. And what Collider does is 3D prints this mold. It's really cool. It pulls it out of this bath of material, and then they inject it with a huge catalog of materials, anything from foam, metal, that type of stuff, and then they stick it in a water bath, and that mold just dissolves right off. So you can make as many of these different parts as you need to, and you can keep the machine in your own office, which is really, really neat.
It's amazing. Like, they're going to be doing some really big things really soon. So I'm excited. All right, company number 4.
4 is Farm Crowdy. So Farm Crowdy wants to feed all of Africa.
Yes.
It is a crowdsourced agricultural investment platform. Individuals or sponsors, as they call them, invest directly into small-scale farmers via the platform, and Farm Crowdy provides obviously the capital, but also all of the resources and equipment and the wholesale buyers to support that activity. And investors make great returns. So they launched their business earlier this year in Nigeria, and have seen some incredible growth and have plans to expand across the continent.
It's awesome, and one thing I really loved about my brief time with them was the way they are empowering women, and women farmers, and women to be able to support their families. So that's a great story you'll be seeing more of for sure. All right, company number 5.
So the 5th company is Fraudmark. Simply put, Fraudmark is aiming to make the internet a safer place. Right now, the first product that they're focused on is around email security and domain security. They want to help companies lock down their domain in such a way that they can't be used in phishing attacks.
Ooh, yeah. So when my mom calls me and is like, so I got an email that I have this free $50 Amazon gift card, I'm like, that did not come from Amazon.
Right, exactly. That's exactly right. So using a Fraudmark service, a company like Amazon could ensure that their domain is locked down and it can't be used in those types of attacks.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool what they're doing, and I see that eventually, hopefully becoming almost mandated, like when you see the Better Business Bureau seal of approval, or this website is SSL secure, or HTTPS. Like, it's going to be rolled out on a massive scale, and the fact that these gentlemen, I think, also have a Georgia Tech tie-in, right?
That's right, they do.
Yeah, so, I love the dogs. UGA is great, but I love me some Georgia Tech.
Yeah, they've got some great tech.
Yeah. All right, so company number 6.
6 is Landing Lion.
Also from Georgia Tech.
Also from Georgia Tech, yeah.
So I'm geeking out about them. Like, the second I met
Why don't you
Alan,
tell us about Landing Lion?
Okay.
Go for it.
So Landing Lion is revolutionizing the way people use automated marketing technology. And again, like, we can cut this, but like, I'm just geeking out about them because I freaking love them. Like, you got to do all these different things now when you're a marketer. Marketing is not just 90% creativity, then 10% analytics. It's actually almost vice versa. You've got to be constantly tweaking and optimizing and A/B testing, and then, but there's like design and code, and your engineers and your developers are super backlogged. Graphic design is super expensive when you're a startup. So what Landing Line has done, it's almost like the MailChimp of marketing, email automation, and landing page design. And it's just beautiful. The interface, you go in and you drag and you drop and you click and you track and you get leads, and then you can convert them right away into automation campaigns and whatever you sync up with, whether it's MailChimp or Pardot or any of it. And so, yeah, like the second I got done with that meeting, I signed up, and we've been using it at Bark ever since and love it. But
Well, that is what it is. So
okay, good.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Landing Lion. I love all of the children equally, all 10 children equally. But Landing Line, I've been using a lot. So
Yeah.
I love you, Landing Line.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, so company number 7. I think we're on 7, right?
Who is 7, Rachel?
Yeah,
Would
7.
be Monetizer.
The
Monetizer.
The Monetizer.
Monetizer.
Want to take this one?
Yeah, so Monetizer is from Latvia. However, we met them while we were in Cincinnati, Ohio, doing our recruiting trips. Monetizer.
Latvia, Cincinnati.
I know. I was like,
That's amazing.
It's a great mix.
Atlanta might be better. No, so Monetizer has a product that plugs into a lot of different apps that you can find. So right now they're targeting games, but they enable in-app purchases for merchandise that's personalized to your achievements within that game. So the one that they're doing right now, there's a couple of different ones, but a lot of Apple design winners, which is really awesome. So very high quality merchandise that you can pick. But say that I achieve a certain level within that game, I can go ahead and put that level and that my character and whatever else I've built, my avatar, onto different products, hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, and I can get that and order it right in the game.
Yeah, and it's first of all, the team is great. They're so kind. They're so cool. They're just so thirsty to learn everything they possibly can. So I totally know why they were picked, just from my personality and team perspective. But talk a little bit more about the value prop. Like, I am an app, and I want to work with Monetizer because...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They've seen early on that game developers are actually generating more revenue, a higher ROI on their games with this merchandise than they are with traditional ads or other forms of revenue generation.
Case in point,
Yeah.
Angry Birds.
Yes.
I mean...
That's right.
you
Not
know.
there yet, but if they were, they sell a lot of T-shirts.
Yeah, right.
A lot of T-shirts.
Okay, company number 7?
The next one is
8?
Mo Quality.
Mo Quality.
Low quality, okay.
Yeah.
Mo Quality is a team also coming from Georgia Tech. Another one.
What is going on here?
And we have 2 awesome PhDs who are running this company, Shavik and Pushkar. Shavik has a PhD in QA, in quality assurance, and Pushkar in machine learning and artificial intelligence. So the 2 of them combined have built a really interesting solution that solves a lot of serious pain for app developers today. When you develop an app and you put it up in the market, you have to have that app tested across many, many different devices, right? You just know how many iPhones are out there. Every year there's a new one coming out. And then when you look at Android, it's a hugely fragmented market, right? And then you also have to have testing against previous versions of the app. So when you're a Mo Quality customer, when you use their service, you record a single test case of your app, and then that recording can be used to automatically test the app across all those different platforms and all the different versions of the app. So it's very, very powerful. Using a service like Mo Quality can increase your testing coverage from, at best maybe 5 or 10% to maybe as high as 60 or 70%. It's truly game changing in the app dev space.
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, just think about how many apps are out there. From the scale perspective, Mo Quality,
Yeah.
we'll be reading about them in a lot of places, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I wish I had them, with the apps I developed, and didn't have that access. So it's painful, like having to
Few
go
bugs.
buy an Android and make sure, like, hey, can I borrow that iPhone 4?
Yeah.
Like, I know they don't sell them anymore, but like some people could
Somebody's
still,
using it.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
it's amazing. I think next up we have Rapid RMS.
That's right. So Rapid RMS is built a software as a service point of sale system for convenience stores, gas stations, liquor stores, which is unique because there's some pretty unique challenges to that space, and particularly with regard to fuel. and they've been able to integrate with a number of the key fuel pump control systems that are out there. Great story. The founder comes from a family that owns lots of these convenience stores and grew up behind the counter and observed that pain and has now become really passionate about solving that problem.
Yeah, the innovation there is really incredible. The logo, by the way, like such a fan. Really great design.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said for being able to walk in a user's shoes in order to really be able to solve their problems, and they've truly done that. And again, the scale. I mean,
Totally.
they're everywhere. So
Yep.
this is going to be huge.
Yep.
Finally, didn't save the best for last, but I would like to, give a special shout out to Vlipsy because I'm one of their mentors, and I'm so honored for that. So who wants to take Vlipsy?
You can take that one.
Happy to take it. Vlipsy, simply put, is Giffy with sound.
Ooh, ooh.
Right? All right. So, I mean, how cool is it when you can now send like an emotion via a text or an email with things like emojis or GIFs? Vlipsy really takes it to the next level. What's been missing all this time is sound. And so no more you have to have, a little white text underneath your Giffy with a subtitle, but you can actually express yourself the way that you want to express yourself, with the actual clip from a film or a TV show or a movie or what have you.
Totally.
Really great team here. This team has been working together for over a decade, and probably more so than any other team in our current class. These two guys can complete each other's sentences. It's really awesome to watch the two of them in operation. So they came to our program having just wrapped up a job over at Kik. This was the team behind the messaging application at Kik. Huge. So they really understand the space. They understand messaging, and they understand what's needed. So we're really excited about Vlipsy too.
It's really cool. I'm like the biggest geek when it comes to emojis and GIFs and that sort of thing. And it's one thing when you send a, GIF of Kristen Wiig, like in Bridesmaids on the airplane, like down by the river.
It's my most used
But
clip.
right? But when you can hear her sing that, and you don't have to send somebody a YouTube link and say, go to 3 minute 14 seconds.
Exactly.
Like, you send it like that, and it is embedded in line, like game changer.
Yeah, it's
so
pretty awesome.
I'm really excited about that as well. Oh my gosh, this is going to be the most fun next 10 weeks of like the year, right?
Yeah, it will. It is. Yes.
Very rewarding.
And so demo day, tell everybody, demo day, is it open to the public?
It sure is.
Okay.
Demo day will be on Tuesday, October 10th at 4 p.m. at the Tabernacle in downtown Atlanta. By the time this airs on YouTube, we probably will have our link to sign up live. Cool. So it's free to the public. So hit TechStarsAtlanta.com, and there should be a link right there to RSVP for the event.
I mean, and for anybody out there who's watching and who can make it to the Tabernacle in Atlanta, it is truly a game-changing event. It's the best of the best. It's not just Atlanta. It's not just the Southeast. It's not just the U.S. It is the best startups in the world, bearing their souls, telling you their story, and like, man, we all need to rally around and support the heck out of them because it is not easy.
Yeah. Also got to say, really excited that once again this year, TechStars Atlanta has partnered with Venture Atlanta. And it's going to be a really exciting week in our city. We'll kick things off with Demo Day on Tuesday night, and then immediately following Wednesday morning, Venture Atlanta starts, and it's going to be the 10th annual Venture Atlanta conference. So we're expecting, probably upwards of 800 or 900 investors to be in town over this 3-day period.
Wow.
Should be a really impactful week for the city.
And with a common complaint, but notice that it's not always easy to raise capital in Atlanta. You definitely won't be having that problem that week. Like, we are bringing the investors to you. So take advantage of that week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do I get into this? What are the deciding factors that go into picking the 10 startups from across the globe?
Yeah.
Well, we like to say there are 6 criteria that we try to measure: team, and team, followed by market, progress, and idea. So let's tackle team, and then we'll kind of go around. So when we say team 3 times, it's a bit facetious, but we actually do mean something here. We're looking for teams that are complete, or at least complete enough to build an MVP before they show up. And in being complete, they have to be complete and complementary, right? If we had 2 co-founders that were both business co-founders or both technical co-founders, that might be good, but it's going to be less great than if we had complementary teams that truly could build and deliver to the market that MVP. We're also looking for teams that didn't just meet at the co-founder speed dating session. As awesome as speed dating can be in a mentor madness setting, it's probably not the most advisable way to meet a co-founder. Ideally, we're looking for folks like Vlipsy, who we talked about earlier, who have been working together for the better part of a decade. It doesn't happen in all cases, but those are typically the best teams. You guys want to tackle market?
Yeah. So I think something that's commonly said amongst this team is that we're looking for companies that have the potential for a 9-figure exit in a 10 or 11-figure market. So people that really want to play big and go after these huge ideas.
Totally. Let's see. What's
so
progress?
Team market progress.
Yeah, progress. You know, I think I think we refer to it as traction actually, but I actually think of it less as traction in a nominal sense and more about velocity. You know, it's how quickly are you able to move, more so than how far have you come. No one's really come all that far yet, but we care about how fast can you get ahead, right? So if you do have a big market opportunity, you know, is the team, designed in a way that's going to allow them, and do they work in a way that's going to allow them to move really quickly towards that opportunity?
It's huge. It's so important, and I think it's factors that get lost on a lot of startups.
And the last criteria we look for is idea. It's not necessarily that if we have a great idea, you're going to get in. All these other criteria have to be met as well. But the final thing that we look for is something that we think can have the possibility to create a new category, something that's really big and different than what's been seen. So I think you heard that today. For instance, in the case of Beloved, right? When you walk into a restaurant, typically you look at a menu, and then typically you have to wait for a check. Here, this is a wild idea that you can create a preferences database, walk into a restaurant, and be fed without ordering anything exactly what you want, and then walk out just like you walk out of an Uber without actually paying a check.
That's exactly what I thought of when I was speaking to the team. It's like, this is like Uber. This is next level innovation.
It's really different, and it's oftentimes those ideas that create the most amount of controversy that are the ones that are the winners. To be perfectly transparent with everybody in YouTube land, I had a really hard time understanding Beloved at first. That was one that I could not wrap my head around. But it's that conflict on the team, and that conflict about the idea that's often a great indicator that there might be something really big there.
And when you hear their passion too. You could just hear it in the tone of voice. You can see it in their eyes. I'm like, I believe. I believe in Beloved. So clearly you've had a lot of time spent both as entrepreneurs and with some amazing startups. On that note, what is some of the best or worst startup advice that you can impart to everybody watching?
Yeah, I mean, I think just playing a bit off of what Michael said earlier regarding big ideas, I think it's whatever you're doing, it's really important to pursue what I'd call the most radically ambitious version of that thing. And I think this is important because at the end of the day, a lot of the success of a startup is all about attracting the right resources. And I think the best and biggest ideas win, and they attract the most capital, they attract the most talent, which is ultimately what allows you to build great companies. And so a big idea that's sold as a small idea is one that's not going to work out. A small idea that's sold as a big one, even better. And a big one that's sold as a big one is the best.
I love it. That's great. I will be making that into an infographic in some way, shape, or form. Who wants to take innovation and emerging trends? And those are two separate, I guess. So
I'll take the other one.
I was going to go off of the startup advice question.
Okay, let's do that one.
Continue for that
great.
one.
So Rachel, I'm sure you have some nuggets. What can you share with us in terms of startup advice, good or bad?
Yeah, I would say one of the things that is from an email from Tyler earlier this year that I really think about a lot of the times when we're sourcing companies, and from the founder perspective, things that you should hope that your company has, especially when you're applying to programs like TechStars. So when you look at the founding team, and of course, since 3 of our 6 criteria are team, right. It's the 3 things that Tyler had outlined would be being credible. So what in your history makes you credible to go after this big idea? What is your authentic story about why you're going after it, and why your team is going after it, and that will oftentimes keep you going when the going gets rough. And the last thing is being self-aware and being a coachable founder. So when you come into TechStars, you're willing to receive all the feedback, not only from this team, but also from those 100 mentors that are going to come through in 10 days.
Well said.
Boom. If we had mics that we were holding, I would drop it right now. Mic drop. So, Michael, do you want to talk about where you find inspiration? How do you keep tabs on emerging trends or startup advice?
Sure. I've got about a 35-minute commute into Pond City Market every morning. And so while I do love music, lately I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, and I get a lot of inspiration from those podcasts. They're actually Audible books. I'm listening to, I just finished up actually, Masters of Scale, the new Reid Hoffman series.
Yes.
Have you listened to it?
I started it.
It's so good. Mm-hmm. It's so great. There's so many lessons to be learned there from some of the masters. It's really hard not to be inspired. Also just wrapped up an awesome book on Audible that it got recommended to by one of our founders in the current class, by Keith from Fraudmark. He turned me on to a book called Play Bigger. And this book really provides a blueprint for how to approach what the authors call category creation, how to approach thinking about the market in a different way, and essentially carving out your own category in that market, and setting yourself and your company up to dominate it. It's a really great book, very easy read or listen, and I'd highly recommend it.
Well, I'm sure everybody just opened up a new tab and typed in
Play bigger.
Yeah, so that's what I'll be doing when we wrap here. That's awesome. People in Atlanta, people in the Southeast know and love Cox Enterprises, but the fact that they have supported this now and making this a reality for our city, it just takes it to a global scale. So I just want to personally thank Cox Enterprises for making this a reality. And
You're here.
Yeah, and everybody needs to come to Demo Day. We were going to have that link live in the description below this video, and you need to come out and you need to support these startups, and you will be transformed. I'm going to be there. I can't wait. I am so excited. You can feel it, right? Can you feel it?
I feel it. I feel it across the table. I feel it.
Right?
I feel it.
Go startups. Go Atlanta. Go TechStars. Go Cox Enterprises. Let's all just do a power.
I'm so about it.
So on the count of 3, TechStars. 1, 2, 3.
TechStars.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks so much, Titania.